It's a great day for all of us, the seekers, that the last work of the Divine of opening the last center in the great primordial being was done on 5th of May 1970. It is the greatest event of all the spiritual happenings of the universe. It was done with very great care and great adjustments. It is not in the limits of human understanding how things are worked in the heavens. It is your fortune and God's love that has worked out this wondrous miracle. Without this happening, there could not have been a possibility to give mass realization to people. One could have done it for 1 or 2 persons here and there, but to give such a mass awakening could not have been possible. As you know, in the Sahastrar, there are the seats of the 7 main chakras. There are 1000 nadis, or as they call it, flames, and they all have each 16,000 powers. Every nadi deals with a particular type of a person, and with the permutations and combinations of all these nadis, human beings are looked after. As soon as Sahastrara was open, the whole atmosphere was filled with tremendous Chaitanya. And there was tremendous light in the sky. And the whole thing came on this earth as if a torrential rain or a waterfall with such a tremendous force, as if I was unaware and got stupefied. The happening was so unexpected and so tremendous that I was stunned and I became completely silent at its grandeur. I saw the primordial Kundalini rising like a big furnace, and the furnace was very silent but burning appearance it had, as if you heat up some metal and it has many colors. In the same way, the Kundalini showed up like a huge furnace, of a furnace which is like a tunnel, where you see these plants you have for coal burning to create electricity, and it stretched like a telescope, one after another came out like that, and the deities came and sat on their seats, on their golden seats, and then they lifted the whole of the head like a big dome and opened it, and then this torrential rain completely drenched me. And I started seeing all that and got lost into the joy. It was like an artist seeing its own creation fulfilled. I felt the joy of great fulfillment. After coming out of that beautiful experience, I looked around and I saw human beings so blind. And I became absolutely silent. Then I desired that I should get the cups to fill this nectar. But I saw all stones. Sahastrara is the most beautiful part of your being. It is a big lotus with 1,000 petals of different colors appearing like inflated flames. It is a thing which is seen by many people, but to see it pour that torrential rain was like these flames becoming a fountain of colors and of fragrance. Can you think of a flower pouring its color and its fragrance around? People have written very little about Sahastrara because whatever they have seen is from outside, and it's not possible for them to go from inside. Even if you reach from inside, if the whole Sahastrara is not opened out, you cannot see its beauty. Because when it is closed, the whole of it, the total, then you just pass through a little aperture and get out of it. But just imagine a huge big petal, 1,000 petaled lotus, and you are sitting inside in the corona and looking at all these petals, all very beautifully colored and fragrant and pulsating way the bliss and the joy. To remain on that position is the ideal situation. But then, after the silence, you are filled with tremendous compassion and love. And you are drawn out to people who haven't yet known what is having eyes. And thus you try to put your attention to the Sahastrara of millions of people. And then you start seeing the problems that exist in the Sahastrara. And even if you desire to open the Sahastrara, it is a very difficult thing. Because the channelizing from the divine to human beings has to be through human beings. The power could be with you, but it has to be channelized through human element. All my life I had not known many realized souls. How to get them? How to work it out? So I started looking out for people. And I met one old lady of 70 years. And she was very perturbed about something very gross. And when she came to me, she felt very peaceful. Her Sahastrara was very worn out. And in my company, she would think of something else, not of the spirit. And her brain would be covered with clouds and darkness. Again and again I had to enlighten it. But she did not get her realization. Most of the people who came to me in the beginning came for getting cured. This capacity I had from childhood, and I could give also realization to few people before, but they had to be very earnest, art. I didn't meet anyone of that quality because I was not living in the forest. I was living as a normal human being among other normal human beings, and they were not that earnest, that art, and I had to do this work among them. How to talk to them about the real world that exists and the faults in which they live. Now one lady, the first one who got realization, just came to see me because she was possessed with the idea of seeking, she thought, and it worked in her. That was not the happiest day, because she's one of those who get individually realization. With this great happening, many should get at a time. We had a program in Bodhi in 70, and there first one gentleman got realization in the evening. Next day there were negative forces acting, morning time, and they started talking of favoritism. I could see in the atmosphere the vibrations were going wrong. In the evening I took up a very strong, firm attitude. I was in a great fury. I never gone into such a fury before. And I lashed out. Surprisingly, 12 of them got realization. That was the greatest moment. Then many got one by one. 3 of them who were traveling back got realization. Suddenly in the train they felt the vibration. So the mass evolution started. Sahastrara is your awareness. When it is enlightened, you get into the technique of the divine. Now there are 2 techniques, the technique of the divine and the technique that you follow. You cannot act as divine, but you can use the divine power and maneuver it. For example, divine looks after all the universal happenings. Every minutest particle is controlled by divine. When your Sahastrara opens out and your Kundalini touches the continental bone, sort of an igniting force is ready in your Sahastrara. And as soon as the fontanelle bone area opens up through the Brahmarandra, the grace of your spirit ignites that igniting force. And your nadis get enlightened. Not all of them, quite a lot of them. Not all the length, but quite the peripheries. That's how you get your enlightenment. So many things happen because also of your 7 centers being in the Sahastrara. With the light you see their relative positions. I mean, you do not see, but it works in your conscious mind. Your conscious mind feels that integration within you. The rationality which is separated from the heart becomes one with the heart. It becomes one with your attention. Wherever your attention goes, you act in a collective way. All the activities of your attention are blessed. The attention itself is effective. Your attention is very important. Your desires are even more important. Because it is such an integrated thing, your desires and your attention become one. Whatever is good for the spirit, you desire, and your attention goes to things whichever is emitting the spiritual power. The priorities change very fast. Those people who are primitive, are not evolved, may not find that happen. But those who are over mentally developed, they actually have an attention which they try to test. They first want to see how to raise the Kundalini. They want to see that it is logical. For a balanced person, there is no questioning at all. We have some people like that among us. They just became and they never question. They just settle down. They are innocent. They are intelligent. Above all, they are spiritual. But whatever may be the defect and the quality can be corrected through your Sahastrara. First of all, you have to put down your ego, because if ego is there, it presses the Sahastrara. Also the superego must be reduced, because it also presses the Sahastrara and gives pain. So to keep the Sahastrara in its healthy state, one has to understand that the priorities are to be changed. Some people take time, so they have to put some deliberate effort. There are many books, if you read them, they suggest anti-God activities. An enlightened Sahastrara doesn't like it. It closes back. That's like a poison. It doesn't like any poisonous thought to come in the mind. If you go about with the poison, then it again closes. In the same way, the people who are hot-tempered, very much hot-tempered, and all of the problems of ego, if they try to suppress the Sahastrara, also the Sahastrara starts closing. Those people who have had conditioning from wrong gurus and wrong books, from wrong parents maybe, from a wrong country, from a wrong livelihood, also do not allow the Sahastrara to grow in its healthy way. It is only the Sahastrara has to grow, not the spirit. The more sensitive the Sahastrara is, the more it receives the spiritual qualities of the spirit. Actually, the peace is felt in the Sahastrara. The bliss is also felt in the Sahastrara, because that is the brain, and the brain is the epitome of our nervous system, central nervous system, or consciousness itself. So only merely by opening Sahastrara, the work is not done. We have to have more and more channels who will act as these nadis with their different powers, and who can work it out in a proper systematic manner. But those people who indulge into wasteful habits after realization obstruct the flow of the nadis and really are very harmful for the virata. Such people should really leave Sahaja Yoga and spare, or such people should be asked to leave, and one should sever relations with such people who is standing against such a great work of the divine. The one who wants to develop Sahastrara should know that he should not have that company, but always have the company of the other Sahajogis. He should not have his own holidays and own time, but most of the time he should spend in the company of other Sahajogis. After the Sahastrara, when you are above Sahastrara, then you can see that it is very important that all these nadis must be kept together. And all the centers and the deities must be kept awakened and integrated. This can be done even with a conscious effort. By watching yourself, your thoughts, you will start seeing your ego and your superego. You'll be able to see how you cheat yourself and you are dishonest to yourself. How you are convincing yourself that you are very good. How you are enjoying an ego trip. Sahaja Yoga is for people who are spirits. So all other things must drop out. All misidentifications must be dropped out. One can do it through conscious mind, as I said, that you can really correct yourself. Because after realization, whatever you desire becomes a part of the divine desire. And whatever you do becomes a part of the divine action. So one has to remember that with conscious effort we can find out ourselves and see if we are really honest about it. If one is honest, one can see that collectivity is the only way to expand your Sahastrara. For that, tolerance is needed, wisdom is needed, and a stature is needed of a prophet, which you are, and you should talk like a prophet. Actually, you have to educate yourself. How does a prophet speak? How does a prophet speak? This is not insincere or acting, because now you are awakened. When you are not awakened, then whatever you do like this is artificial. Sahastrara is the controlling, guiding, evolving force. And so to keep it absolutely ready for growth and expansion, one has to watch one's own growth. Never justify your wrongdoings. If you start justifying, you are actually thinking about that. We have no time to think about oneself. You have to think of others, because others are also in your brain. And when you start thinking of others, talking to them about their resurrection, your Sahastrara will definitely increase in its size and in its sensibility. The sensitivity will also increase. The depth will also come. It is just like a tree when it grows, its roots spread when it's strong. So you have to come out of your shells and spread your wings. All small things of mind must be given up. You have to live like a very huge, big personality, which has to give support, guidance, help, and awakening to thousands. If this Sahastrar Day in France establishes a new dynamism in this country, I'm sure that it will catch up to the thought of the people. It will resound into their brains. Their unconscious would transmit it into their being. And they will start thinking afresh. Now new breakthroughs will take place. And people will start going towards truth, logically. They'll come to right conclusions. They'll drop out all that is useless and wasteful. Sahastrara is the throne for the spirit. And the bigger is the king, the bigger is the throne. The way you treat your spirit is expressed through the way you have your Sahastrar. As it is the seven chakras seated in Sahasrara. You become the master of these seven chakras. And that's how you can you can give realization. And then you can become a subtle being through your conscious effort, you can enter into the beings of others and raise their kundalini and correct them. Enlightenment of the Sahasrara also gives you a new sight to see all the sukshmas, all the subtle things in the atmosphere. When you start developing higher and higher, you can see the vibrations as lights around you. You may not have any interest in many things, but you'll be amazed how you become the master of so many things. As if your brain is materializing whatever you have been desiring. And this is what is Krishna promised, who is actually the Virata. So you become the master of your brain, because actually the spirit is the master of the brain. The more you start bringing spirit into your attention, the more the Sahasrara increases in its size. And the light of that expands. And you become more powerful Sahajogi. This is the greatest thing also for God Almighty to say, see that this has happened so that He can, for the time being, postpone His anger and wrath. So that He can forgive human beings for their mistakes, their obstinacy and childish pranks. Let the man rise to see the glory and the greatness of his Father. Let him have so much of power that he can bear the compassion of God. Let the Sahasrara develop into such dimensions that it can execute the working of the divine through his own conscious mind. The Sahasrara has one mantra, that is Nirmala, meaning must keep it clean, pure, immaculate. That is what is your job. Is try to keep it pure and clean. And this will definitely mark another step, another accelerated jump into a new dimension of many more human beings. It's a very great pleasure to be in Paris today, so that the whole world attention should be on Paris, on France, on this country which is really being cursed, neglected by all the deities, because human beings really went very wrong. Let all the deities be settled down in this country, because this is the attention. And attention, whatever attention we pay, is reported to us through Sahasrara. So the Sahasrara of France may be opened out. So the attention of France should be directed towards spirit and towards the eternal life. It's very important country. That's why I decided to have this day celebrated here. Now the responsibility on the French Sahajogis is much greater. They have to change their methods and styles. They should be very mild, gentle and healthy people. But at the same time, they should be very strong Sahajogis, so that when others see them, find that superiority in them. Before the Sahasrara day, we have had such a successful session. I am very happy about it. May God bless you. Now I bless all the other centers who have prayed and are praying to give them a very developed Sahasrara, an enlightened one that will separate them from their small shell. Let them expand so much that they become one with the whole. May God bless.